Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name is Preston. I'm here with Sam. Say hello.
Hello, we're back. It's Meta Monday.
This is a fun Meta Monday too. I alluded to it in the news yesterday. This is the One Piece featured deck introduction. I don't know what to call it, but it's gonna happen. Before we pull up the list, don't forget, head over to the community tab. Leave your deck list in the community tab. We're going to do a special Meta Monday featuring your decks shortly. And while you're there, hit that subscribe. You know you want to.
You know you wanna.
Um, let's pull up the first one. This is going to be
Oh, I'm
fun.
so excited. They gave us free content. How could we not review these decks and not say what we honestly think about them? They are going to be on the One Piece website feature decks. They will be linked down below. If you haven't seen a quick review on the news, it'll be right here.
Ooh, nice.
Thanks. Let's get into the decks. Do you have a preference on what color we do first?
Let's go in order.
Ooh, we're doing them in order. Let's do green. Green. Set 2 green is a very interesting deck. If you have been following our meta reviews, you have seen these Kinemon leader before and this Odin card before. Very good cards. This is the deck they have given us. Preston, what is your honest meta review on this deck?
So I think it's heading in the right direction to what we see actually being played right now. And we've seen a lot of these cards, the off cards that this deck has been splashed in some of the decks we reviewed. I'm speaking of Toki, the one drop blocker when Odin is on the field. I think that's an off pick right now in the meta. And it also is playing the secret rare Yamato. I think that is most likely not played in this deck and probably 80+% of the time. And then it also has Carrot, because why not? Uh, I think it's a mismatch of things that's mostly promoting three different products so that they can sell things.
Yeah.
You actually might succeed with this deck because Kinemon is disgusting. Um, but it just feels like it's not concise. Like, you don't need Shinobu. There's better 3-drop cards that you should be playing. I understand that a 3-drop 5k is useful sometimes, but your meta picks are most likely going to be more effective 3Ks.
Yeah, the red scabbards are all 3 drops. They all have really good effects, so we could have picked one, probably better than Shinobu. But Shinobu is heavily in the anime right now, so I like to think that's why she was picked right here. This deck isn't terrible. There's a lot of good things here. A lot of all the tappers are at 4. Kat, Izzo, and the Shamata all at 4. Odin's at 4. Okiku's at 4. It feels like all the good cards are at 4. Raizo, yes, maybe some things like shouldn't be here, but out of all the lists I could have imagined that was probably really quickly generated for content on their website, this isn't too bad. Preston's right; it's not too far off of the Kinemon list. They even give you trips and ticks how to play them.
Yeah.
If this is a deck you are interested in, check it out. They will give you the rundown.
Yeah, I think the thing that they did with this list is they weighed heavily into the scabbards and the Wano cards, and they didn't diversify. And that's what the community does when they get cards. They're like, oh, we have Jewelry Bonnie that can search these cards. Great. We have Momo that can search these cards. I'm playing all of them. And in this deck, is it playing Momo?
Sure
Okay, at least it's
is.
playing Momo. Whew, scared me for a second. Um, and what the meta is doing now is they're playing Jewelry Bonnie and they're playing Supernovas. This deck isn't playing the Supernova half of the top deck right now. So I would throw Jewelry Bonnie in this, add your X-Drakes, and drop the Odins down, and then you have the second place deck from the last big tournament.
So close.
It's so close. It's a good option, and this is probably a cheaper option.
Well,
You can always
there is
put down
two.
the Odins.
There is 2 Secret Rare Yamato, so maybe not.
They're fairly cheap in the U.S. right now.
That's true.
Yeah,
Next deck.
reasonably cheap.
Kinemon was cool. That deck easily could. I could see that winning a tournament. So
Right.
not bad, not bad, not bad. Red Edward Newgate. This has been a leader that we haven't seen too much of. We think we've done one. Hopefully we'll get to see some more. And then we have this one.
So I think this is probably one of the best versions of a straight Whitebeard deck because I think the Whitebeard deck is really hard to play still. Um, it's doing a lot and has way too many event cards in my opinion. Um, but it is playing Radical Beam, so it gets an A plus for me.
Nice. All right, next deck. No, this deck is there's some things going on. Um, hmm. There, I
So it's playing Robin, smart. It's playing Otama, really smart. I believe all of the Whitebeard pirates are leaning heavier into the minus power stuff and
Right.
then killing stuff with less power. So it's playing a lot of the stuff that should work. I just think that there's better versions of even the Whitebeard deck. Less Whitebeard pirates is one of them.
Yeah, I think that's the issue here. A lot of these, unfortunately, these Whitebeard pirates don't do too much. Marco is a weird card. Jozu, I really like. Weird card. This is the extra, if I remember correctly. He pumps all the Whitebeard pirates by 1K. Very strong card. Only had two though. I think that's interesting.
Mhm.
If we're running a very heavy Whitebeard focused deck, I'd suggest running four of these guys.
Right.
And this deck probably should be strung along with a lot of the vanillas. I believe most of the vanillas were all Whitebeard pirates from set two, except maybe Oris Jr. So I think that probably should be here. That's mostly your power, and Vista and Nico Robin usually control the early game very well.
Yeah. And then there's Whitey Bay that you could probably leave out for choppers or a different style one drop that would probably be more effective. Um, I like seeing Ace. I think four of Ace is really good. There's also a lot of interesting four ofs. This deck is mostly four ofs. Um, I don't know if I would play four Edward Newgates. It's a lot.
Always forward
Um,
new gates.
and the spread in this is really interesting. A majority of the characters are below four drop, and then you have a seven drop and a nine. So the curve feels awkward also to me, just like thinking about it. Um, and then I would play like half of these event cards. Um, you
And
play Moby Dick.
and
You
four
play
jet pistols. There's no jet pistols. All these minuses and no jet pistols. Ridiculous.
right. Um, and I think we had talked about it when the cards came out. Most likely not playing the event searcher. I think even Sabo Odi isn't being played because it's yeah, you get to pick up your deck and look at some cards, but it's not a character card, so you're not gaining ground on board. And I think even in set one and now in set two for Japan, they're not putting any value in these event cards. They're not getting a body on the board. Useless to me.
Yeah, that's kind of the case. And if they are playing, they're very, very, very low counts. I think
Yes,
two at max.
this
And
has
and when
four.
you play the ones that go on the board, it's also combo power, right? In the end game, that's the huge difference as well.
Mhm.
So I think, there. I think the vanillas would have been helpful. I think the curve would have been clear with the vanillas. I believe there's a six drop and a seven drop vanilla that you could be playing. That's probably the biggest thing here. And cleaning up these event cards. Don't play that many. You probably should be playing. Actually, probably just Radical Beam and Jet Pistol.
Yeah, and maybe Moby Dick.
Oh yeah,
The stage is good, but
yeah.
yeah, I agree with that. Rattle Beam and Jet.
And again, tips and tricks of how do we play the deck.
Super cool.
Super cool.
I would probably not play this one at my local. If I play it card for card, I probably would play the Kinemon card for
Yeah,
card.
Kinemon, Edward Newgate. Next.
Yep.
Avonk. Avonk has been very exciting in this new meta. All the blue decks have definitely changed their lists since the introduction of this archetype. Avonk we have already featured in Meta Monday. I'll put that right here. So if you
Hmm.
want to see what a tournament winning Avonk deck looks like, you can look at that one, then compare it to this one. And I'm excited to see what we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, even the headline talks about the combos with the
Oh
Ivanka
yeah.
into the Luffy. Uh, it was designed that way. It makes sense that they're gonna try to show that off as a
Yeah.
choice to make. So let's see. We have our searchers, we have some blockers, Perona. Does Perona make sense in this deck?
Peep is a really overpowered tool.
Hmm.
Hypothetically, you could use Perona to set up your Evolk with Luffy combo. Hypothetically,
Mm,
um, so I think Peep works well. It's also combo power, so it's not necessarily always a dead card either. Um, so those slots always need to take place. So the end combo looks correct. I see four Luffy's. I see four
right.
Evolks. I see a couple crocodiles. That's kind of the
Hmm.
set to end game. I've seen a lot of newer lists run the Dofi and Mihawk as well at high counts.
Hmm.
But these need to take place of the early counts. Alvida is probably the most important. Alvida really helps with the Zoro matchup. So I think there are very strong techs in this deck already.
Hmm. The thing that I would say that's different than the meta decks is the meta decks don't play so strong into the impel down archetype. They play this stage, but I don't think they play as many of the actual characters. Like, I don't know if Bon and Mr. 3 and Mr. 2 actually make the deck.
Bond for sure
Uh,
does. Bond's a 2K combo.
okay.
I don't know if Mister Three makes it as a 4 count. It's actually the
Yeah.
blocker that I don't see too much. Inuzami, I believe his name is Scissor Man. I believe
Hmm.
he's one of the few character cards that we don't see. However, he has the potential to become a 7K blocker. So I think he is not the worst of the impel down cards. That's for sure.
Pretty decent blocker count too, because we have the four Dofis from set one, we have Laws, and then the Inuzami that you just mentioned and Mr. 3 are all blockers. I think you could probably drop one of those blockers for something more aggressive, in my opinion, to keep yourself pushing forward instead of constantly playing on the back foot. You're already going to be playing with less cards in hand out of like necessity to try to hit those really cool combos. I think being a little bit more aggressive and keeping your opponent's hand down by forcing them to counter would be the way I would play this deck, but I don't know if that's exactly the correct way to play it.
It's I feel like you have to be quick on your feet within a Vonk deck. You're gonna see cards and you have to get rid of those cards really quickly so you can keep the deck flowing. So it's really on your feet and how you set it up with the peep if we played it card for card. So I think
Mhm.
there are tools for success here. And this Avonk to Luffy combo is absolutely game ending.
Mhm.
Or even if you miss and hit Avonk into Crocodile, that's not even a huge miss. So
Yeah,
you could
it's part of their
definitely
tutorial.
yeah, it's definitely here. I know it's here. This is
Yeah,
this is it right here.
yeah.
And we've seen a very heavy Avant list already in our Meta Monday. So it's winning tournaments. So
Mhm.
this isn't too far off of what meta looks like. I think most lists are just running more like you said, more
Aggressive.
aggressive, higher counts on upper cards like Dofi and
Mhm.
Mihawk. They were playing four Luffy or three Luffys, four Evonks, and then three
Mhm.
Dofis, three Mihawks. So they make
Right,
sure that their tops is there because that's what's winning in the game.
right.
So good list.
Yeah,
Good job, One Piece.
we'll play this card for sure at a local.
Looks fun too.
Yeah,
Next.
Valk looks fun.
Next, not so much fun.
Less fun here. Honestly,
Magellan.
if the leader had a more exciting effect, I think this would probably be much more toxic because the one time that you the one time that you played it and I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna have fun," and you just wrecked my
When did we
just
play
face
it?
off.
We wouldn't feature that video right here. Magellan. I don't know what he does. And here is
The
his
Don
deck.
goes back to his Don deck, he gains 1k.
There you go. That's not too bad. You can get that off pretty often.
When a
Uh,
Don goes back to a Don deck, maybe like any Don deck, but still, like the I'm gonna shit on this deck until like three comes out. I just hate it. I don't think the set to purple stuff was advantageous for the meta. Um, when most of the decks are just gonna end up dropping in the Magellans and was it the Hell's Judgment?
yeah, Hell's
They're
Judgment's
just
really good.
flashing cards instead of playing the archetype, which I feel like is bad game design. unless set 3 is also in Pale Down Purple, which I can't imagine it being. Um, so it just feels bad. They do have the combo setup so that you can play the Jailer Beast off of it, get those blockers out. Um, they're playing good cards. I just wouldn't play this deck. I wouldn't touch it. Um,
Yeah, it seems like they're splash cards at best. Hell's Judgment is probably the best event card Purple's gotten so far, or might be one of the best event cards in the game. It's it's very very powerful. 6,000 in total minuses for a 2 cost is huge. Magellan is an absolute monster of a character card. Definitely worthy of a deck slot if you're looking for a very annoying 5 drop and you're playing purple.
mhm.
Queen is probably the biggest contest to this card, unfortunately, because they share a character a cost. That's probably the only downside to Magellan, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, these cards are not good. Sadie plays these beasts; they're not good. She's a 2K combo. That's about it. I find this card to be interesting. A trigger card with a 2K combo. This card is interesting. That's the most insightful thing I can say about it. It's very unique in what it does. So I like the idea of this card. I would like to see it more in the future. But as a whole, this deck does not do well. I wouldn't recommend playing this Kaido either. There's no ramp in this deck.
No, and we will mention that if we haven't already. Minuses in decks with like a big minus in a deck that doesn't have ramp seems like a bad. Like King is great. Both Kings are great. -1, -2s are great because you recover them on your next Dawn phase.
Yep.
Fantastic. Gotta love it. Minus anything more than 1 or 2, I would keep out of decks that don't have ramp. And that's just a rule that I will build decks based off of.
And I'd probably agree. Bullet might be the only one where I'd argue would be okay. Bullet is a -4, and you tap your opponent's character card. So if you use that to clear, that is seems like it's he gets double as well. So he has the potential to do a lot of damage,
Mhm.
but you can't afford playing this Kaido unless you're winning the game that turn. You can't afford playing a card like this.
Right.
I would
Yeah.
not recommend playing this deck at a tournament.
No, I wouldn't. Don't do
Let's.
it.
I'm gonna read
If you
their.
do and you win, please post. If
Please.
you win a game with this deck, I need to
I can
know
win a game.
about
I
it.
can win a game with this deck. Come
You
on,
beat me
let's.
with it already. It's not the point.
Oh no, it's on the
That's
channel
probably why
too.
I hate it. It's probably why I hate it. It's because I
It's not good. And
played
then
bad.
there was the Finks card that was not even a jailer beast.
Right. It had a weird typing.
No, dismissed. Yeah, this unfortunate color. Not a good deck. Don't play. Next deck.
Yeah.
Black.
Wrapping
Woo.
up.
Oh, that's a secret rare.
Yeah. Right at the top. They
So
say buy packs until you have, was it
4.
4? Yikes. That's 4 boxes worth most. If you're lucky, 4 boxes worth.
You gotta get 4 boxes, guys. You gotta do it.
Yeah.
I,
Minimum.
I just realized the other a seeker was not in the purple deck either. They don't recommend the Uda in that deck apparently. Monsters. Black.
Monster.
Black is an interesting color. It's a color that we have not featured other than the smoker in the Meta Monday. So this is the first time we are featuring a Kainu. What are your early thoughts in looking at this list?
I think this is pretty close to what's played in the Smoker Leader. I think the only reason that Akainu is the leader is so that they can promote more products. Because well, I mean, like with Black, you only have the starter deck and you have the set 2 cards. So to promote your product, you're gonna promote a leader from your starter deck and a couple cards from there, and then your set 2 secret rare, of course. This is very similar to smokers that I'm seeing. There's a few card differences. I think that the smokers might play the other Suru also, the 2-drop blocker, as well as the 1-drop minus that's in this deck. Um,
Yep. Also 2K combo.
this deck probably would be better with smoker. and it would be fun to play because you have a lot of things that you're doing. You're minusing in a lot of different ways, a lot of on attacks, which probably aren't the best minuses, but it's what you have now. So you play what you have if you want to play black. Um, I don't know how much to say about it because we haven't seen a lot of good black decks.
You know, looking at it, it has so many strong tools, right? It's obviously flooded with SR, so it might be a little unfair to compare it to the other decks we've seen so far. But it's loaded. These cards are very strong. They're high in combo power. They all have strong individual effects. They might not have a ton of like synergy together, but they are all individually very very strong cards, and they're gonna be difficult to get over. They're definitely there's definitely an event card you guys should be playing if you're going off a set two. It is the Borsalino event card. I think it's just called Flying Jewel or something like that. Card is
Mm.
very very strong. Definitely consider playing that over these cards. Still play Big Sengoku though. That card's good. I don't know the
Yeah,
name. I don't know the name of the event cards. It's kind of know. I know what they do though. Uh,
right.
uh,
Yeah, Sacred Jewel is
Sacred Jewel.
the one you're talking
Yes.
about. There's a word before it. I'm not gonna attempt it. I've already embarrassed myself enough with pronunciations this week. Um, yeah, I
I
mean, this isn't a bad deck. I
no.
think that the rest of the actual meta is just disgusting. So you're not getting a lot of black leader cards rising to the top.
Right.
But this deck seems oppressive. If you're minusing enough with your on attacks and you can keep stuff on board, and that might be the problem. Kinemon's really aggressive, Zoro's really aggressive, so they're clearing board most likely, or just winning before you can minus enough to get your 10 drop out, or you don't feel comfortable dropping 10 Dawn on your secret rare because you're at one life and you lose. So it's interesting. I'm sure that a black deck will do well eventually. I would play this deck. It seems like it has all of the pieces. I
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
play it with Smoker because I
Yes.
think Kainu's Sakazuki's effect is too painful to get over.
Yeah.
Um, but I will probably play this deck when it comes out, just because it. I mean, the characters are dope. First, second, the deck
Yeah.
seems oppressive, and I think it probably will do pretty well in the West.
Look at this art. Who doesn't want to play this?
Gorgeous,
These guys look
gorgeous,
great. All of
gorgeous.
them. I hate this guy,
Every
but he
single
looks
one,
great.
incredible.
Um, I think that's what we want, right? We want this deck to do well. So we want it. We want we keep singing its praises, but there's a reason it's not winning. And it has to be a combination of the deck still being new, right? Like when not everyone's super comfortable with black yet, you're still trying to find the correct list. There's so many cards you want to play. Like I, we have to figure out what cards we can't play. And then we have red, black. We have red, purple, or black, purple. Like which of these lists is correct? So I think there's a lot of testing that still needs to be done. And green is a comfortable color, and they're very oppressive. They're able to tap 2, 3 to 5 drops very easily, and that is everything here basically.
Yeah.
Smoker is protected from being KO'd by effects. He can still be tapped by effects and be killed that way.
Mm-hmm.
So there are still ways to get through get through these guys. They're not invincible. And I have to imagine green is still the issue for this deck.
Mm-hmm.
Is this deck the best set that we've seen? No, it's probably in the middle of the pack. Yeah. Is it the most fun? Probably. It
It feels like it would be fun.
looks fun. Play with
Yeah.
Smoker though. I would absolutely only play that one deck with Smoker. Kind of leader effect costs too much.
Yeah.
Smoker's is free.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly. That was a good one. I had super fun. When I saw this, I was like, we have to do it. This is so exciting. If you like this video, I know it was a little bit longer, but we did feature 5 decks. So give us a thumbs up for that, if anything. If you want to give it more One Piece TCG content, spreading it out because it's super late, hit that subscribe button. Had a super fun time with this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Until next time, have a good one. Later.
Good night, guys.